This one, when I did it before, it jacked up. It got all these weird shadows and stuff when I imported it in. And it was probably something weird, and I didn't think it did, and it did it, and I said, okay, well then I'll show them this. And then I spent time making this. Because what you do, if something like that stupid happens, all you do is you do 1/4 of it. Then export it out, use that texture, and it'll work across the whole thing, because it's baked the normals that way. But for whatever reason, it works fine, so we're good to go. But the problem is that it's still tiles weird.
How did you export just one thing out instead of all of them without having to delete everything?
What are you talking about? Oh, I haven't showed you how to export the textures yet.
No, just the mesh.
Oh, when you go to export, you say File, Export, Selected. Yeah. So the problem still with this one is if you look at it, it still tiles down the middle, and it's actually not doing it on this one. What the hell's going on? It's so weird. I may have grabbed the wrong one then.
When you export an FBX, you can obviously export multiple objects. What happens if you bring in multiple objects into?
It'll bring all of them in. Like,
so they'll just be in the world space that they would have been in if you could.
Oh, I used to have 2 of them, I thought, but I guess I don't. Yeah, it'll just be 2 of them in the world space right next to each other. If I exported all 3 of those, it'd all be 3D here.
Okay.
So, interesting. Hold on, let me see something.
Does your center of the world have anything to play with in substance?
All it matters is the thing you're bringing in with it matches. So if it's the center of the world, then it needs to be the same place. If that's the biggest problem when you have stuff with ZBrush, because if you import stuff from ZBrush, sometimes the scale is different and stuff. It doesn't care where they are as long as they're in the same place in the center of the world. I mean, everything looks at the center of the world, but as long as it's in the same place, then it'll work. But if you don't have, like for a high-res version, it won't work because the high-res is off in a different place. You only get half of the res. Let me turn this off here. Edge faces. Well, this one's mirrored. See the mirror? I think up here it's got a weird mirror too, but. So don't do it this way, do it the other way. Apparently that's better. That's awesome. That it didn't do it. Just
symmetry?
Symmetry, yeah. Collapse your symmetry out and then put it all in there. The reason I did it the other way is just because it was doing a weird thing with symmetry, which is what we used to always get. We used to, when you bake a normal, there was a hard time for a long time for them to calculate how a symmetry object would work because it's based on the light and how the light direction and the object's light direction. And if you think about it, one half of it is one direction, the other half is the other direction. How does it tell you which way is going where? But it works now, so I will try this again at home, and it teaches me for trying to show stuff. Anyway, I'll come back to this one real quick. So collapse symmetry, clean up add it if you wanted more resolution somewhere, then you do the more resolution at that point, and then export it out, and you should be fine. But it is good to know you can import just this part in symmetry in game if you want to make an instance of it. Okay, so if we look at this one, we'll go File, New, Select.
Workflow notes.
Yeah, here's both, by the way. See, they just both came in. Oil, New, Discard, and we look at this other one.
And then if you paint it on one and they share the same material, it would show
They go across all 3, yeah. All of them, yeah. They would all, if they all had the same material, and that's actually in Max, there's 4 or 6 materials on it, just so it didn't happen when I brought it in here for class. But yes, it would. Because all we're really doing is playing with the texture, or multiple versions of it, I mean multiple layers of a material, but one material, if you change it for one, it's going to change it for everything else that's using it. So, you know, even if you don't see it on the screen, if it's going to use this material in 4 different places, you need to make sure that it's going to not screw up everything else. So, I made this, oh, there's melon crap, that's not what I thought it was, that's funny.
Saved over.
No, that's your mouse.
Oh, that's last time.
Barnacles.
Yeah, that's the barnacle one. Get up, leave me alone. Here's another melon now, I don't want you to.
Upload it.
Oh, I know how I did it. So it's mossy. Add resources. So if you make a material, smart material, I'll just show you this now. Get rid of this. When you right click on a smart material, you can say export resource. Export resource will save that material into wherever you tell it to. So you save the smart material, basically the settings that are involved with the smart material, and the textures if there's any custom textures. So if you want to import one of those into something you have, you can either try and go find the folder that it's in and put it in that folder, and when it restarts it'll find it that way. Or you just come add resources, import resource, add resource, come find that material, which is called an SPSM, substance painter, surface, or smart material. Open, and then say what kind it is, and you say put it in the shelf, import, and now that material that I made at home works right there, and I can throw it on there.
Looks lighter.
It is, and why is that? If you ever throw a texture on something and it looks wrong, what's the thing that somebody forgot to do?
Oh, bake.
Yes, that's it. Bake it. Bake it like you make it. I'll probably turn it up above 512 too.
Why do you turn off the ID?
I don't need it, so I don't need to think about it. I don't have an ID set up for this. I could, but I don't.
You can use the different colors in an ID to mask out stuff. I think maybe
Yep.
something else.
Yep.
I don't know what else you can do with it.
That's about all you can do. It's a way of doing separate materials without doing separate materials. If you import something with a texture on it and it's got color on it, it can bake out material IDs for you, which will just be a way to get masking. It masks stuff by colors that you set up. In this case, we didn't want to do that, but because I wanted more resolution for the interior face stuff in here. But so yeah. I don't think, actually here, I can do this too. Let's do bake mesh materials. I'll turn these all off. Bake.
So you made it?
Yeah, see it's just
Yeah, I could not
black
find
because I
it.
don't have any IDs.
Oh.
If you import it in with colors on everything, it would import it that way. But since I imported with no colors on any textures, I think if I had put colors on it, it probably would have been fine. Pretty sure. But anyway, I will use that, and we'll talk about that more with ZBrush because it's really useful in ZBrush. But so let's talk about how I made this. Okay, this looks like a brilliant piece of magic that I've made, but really it's not. It's this. What we just saw. I threw stained metal on here like that, and then I broke into it. Delete this. I broke into. You can go into any smart material you want, and I looked down here and I said, "Ooh, paint. Okay. Well, I really don't want it to be steel underneath, and this is the paint right here. So I'm going to hide the paint real quick, and there's the steel. Well, I don't want it to be steel. I want it to be something else. What do I want it to be? I want it to be this wood." So I just grabbed that wood texture and I threw it above the steel. And now my thing is wood. Now I could turn this back on and it's just now wood painted.
And whatever